You're listening to Little Green Cheese, episode 92. Well, welcome back, Curd Nerds. I'm Gavin Weber, and this podcast is where you can learn about cheese making at home. Well, today we have a special guest. It's Tracey Johnson from Cheese Needs. And she not only runs Cheese Needs, but she's one of the admins over at the Learn to Make Cheese Facebook group. It's a wonderful place to learn about cheese making, and they are so friendly. So please join me by having a listen and a watch to Tracey Johnson and myself, of course, talking all things cheese making, cheese business, and all sorts of other cheesy things. Right, so in the green room we have Tracey Johnson. Thank you, Tracey, for turning up. Give me a wave to see if you can hear me. Yeah, right, good. It's all good. I'll bring her on right now. Here we go. Tracey runs a cheese company, recently purchased, I believe.
Indeed, February.
Called Cheese Needs, and you took over from Shera.
Yes, I did.
So, now, where are you from?
I'm originally from Winchester in England. I get asked an awful lot where in Australia I'm from because the Canadians can't pin down the accent.
Australian.
Yeah. I
Nice.
blame that on growing up with neighbours and home and away. I can do it reasonably decent Australian. But my Canadian is awful. It's embarrassing, and it comes out Valley Girl. So I'm going to stick with the English and just politely correct anyone who thinks I'm Australian because I'm clearly English.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm also Canadian now as well. So
lovely. I was just telling Kim a minute ago. She said, "Who's the next lady you're going to?" I said, "Oh, she sounds like Kate Winslet."
I do not.
Well,
nowhere near as posh.
That's what I thought anyway. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so which region of British Columbia are you based?
Okay, so you got all of Canada.
Yep.
The States is down here. We don't need to worry so much about that.
I think they might have something to say about
that. We're on the West Coast, so BC. Well, I say the West Coast. The sea is still like 500 miles from me. I'm in the dead center of British Columbia.
Right.
So I'm in Prince George. I'm actually at the moment doing a 3-day BC Gourmet Festival in Prince George. So if you happen to be in the area, I know you have viewers all over the world.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it's a foodie festival. It's fabulous. So many people, so much food.
So were you there today before this?
Yes. Yeah, nice. I've been there for 9 hours today. So my voice.
Are there photos on Facebook?
They can find that on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All righty. So why did you start making cheese? Because I remember you were the admin of the Learn to Make Cheese group, and I don't think you were making cheese at the time, or were you already?
Yeah, I found Learn to Make Cheese about 7 years ago, and I was just kind of browsing Facebook, as you do. As a foreign national, we call ourselves expats if we're English. Everywhere else we're an immigrant, but if we're English, we're expats.
Yeah.
So a lot of the way that I keep in contact with my friends from back home and my family from back home is I share things on Facebook. So it's a really good tool for me, especially when Skype goes down all the time. Before we had Zoom, before we had all the pandemic video chat stuff, Skype was the only thing, and it was a real pain.
It was dreadful. Yeah.
Yeah, and Facebook just seemed to be the easiest way to do that for me. So one day a suggestion popped up, Learn to Make Cheese, and I'm like, oh, okay, I might give that a go, and within, I think, 3 months, I was admin on the page. I was still learning myself at the time, and yeah, I've been admin for 6.5 years now. So we have a group of admin. It's not just me. There's Chera. There's a lady called Daria Ross, and she's mainly in the background.
Yeah.
And then we have Susie Yarbrough. We have Rachel. I'm going to butcher her name. Sorry, Rachel. Rachel Washitz Banks. I think that's how you say it. And then Heather Barnes has recently joined us. So we have a great team of admin. and it just keeps it clean. You know, we have the rules on the page: no politics, no bullying, just cheese.
Yeah.
And it's like our little bubble on Facebook. So there's
Indeed.
no,
And
yeah,
I must say it's one of the most friendliest and non-bitchy
yeah,
Facebook pages that I've ever been on. So it is
yeah.
a
We're aiming
pleasure.
for supportive.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on, honestly. So kudos to you and all the other admins.
Yeah, it's a great team, as I said, and you know, the people make it what it is.
Yeah,
We do occasionally have to remove people if they don't get the message or if they won't follow the rules. You know, we don't like censoring people. I really, every time someone posts a joke that's got a swear in it, it grinds my gears to have to take it down because it's
yeah,
funny, but we don't allow swearing on the page because we
yeah,
have
yeah,
children on the page. So
yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't swear on this channel either. So because I know that kids watch it. You know, I've been told many times that teachers show my cheese making videos to classes
mhm.
as an educational tool. So it'd be silly if it wasn't family friendly, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when did you start making cheese? So you're the admin of the page and stuff. Did you
Yeah.
then obviously get the Churrophile bug and decide to, give it a go?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I found the page, I did what a lot of people do when they find the page. I posted a whole bunch of questions like, where do I start? What do I need? How do I do this?
Yeah.
And a very patient admin came along and they're like, okay, one post, ask all the questions, and you should look in the files. We have a bunch of recipes in the files.
Yeah.
So I'm more tolerant now when people join the page and they bombard us with a whole bunch of questions and posting every day. And you know, I've been there. That was me. So
Yeah.
it's great to be excited. It's really great to be excited about cheese and learning the process. So I think I made my first cheese the first day that I was on the page. I threw together a feta because I moved to a country where it's a lot better now. But 10 years ago when we moved here, you couldn't find kefili. You couldn't find even a decent Gouda. You know,
Mm.
you'd be paying a fortune for a tiny little slice of it. And I want more. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
English. We eat cheese with everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I was just watching the previous video there, your Philly, and I love the way that you chuckle throughout your videos. Clearly, you're really enjoying it, and
I
I
enjoy it.
absolutely love
I
that.
enjoy cheese. That's what
Yeah,
it's all about. Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's good. So after that first cheese, what did you move on to? Anything more complex?
yeah. So I did feta the first day, and then I went out and got more milk the next day, and I did a Guido's.
Right.
And I have been going on about Guido's for 6 years now. It's a great beginner cheese. It's really easy. You can throw anything into it. You know, it loves chives, it loves pepper flakes. You can rub it with things.
Yeah.
I've been banging on about Guido's for years. And of course, if you don't make cheese, you've never heard of Guido's.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm bringing it to my friends to try. And they're like, well, what is it? I said, well, it's a cheese. It's a hard Italian cheese. Okay, what's it called? Guido's. Okay, I've never heard of it. Well, of course you haven't heard of it.
That's
So
right.
yeah, it's a great cheese though.
Yeah, indeed. And I don't know if you watched the session, but I think you would. You
Of
did.
course.
But yeah, in the smoked, I smoked the Guidos, and it lent a little bit of something extra to it. But having said that, the cheese, the one that I tried was 3 months old. So
Right.
I think it's quite immature at 3 weeks. I don't know if I'd eat it at 3 weeks anymore. I definitely
Yeah.
age it for at least 3 months because the flavour was there on the piece that I tried that wasn't smoked. That it was nice. So a good
Hmm.
table cheese at that stage.
Yeah.
And then I think once it was smoked, my goodness, it really brought out all the extra flavours and stuff that these
You get
things.
the layers and the nutty as well. Sometimes I
Yes.
found one in the back of my fridge that was 2 years old, and
Oh,
it was amazing.
yeah, yeah. Well, and it's the same for any cheese, really. When you find one in the back of the fridge, I tell you, it's like gold, isn't it? So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, indeed. So, why did you then move on from cheese making to buy a cheese making supply business?
I mean, it's not that much of a stretch, you know. My
I
close friend
suppose.
Shara wanted to retire.
Yeah,
I'm already offering advice and support on Learn to Bake Cheese every day for several hours.
yeah,
So, you know, I'm not allowed to sell my cheeses here in Canada. because they're not made in a commercial facility, and I'm not dairy inspected, and I don't have license up the wazoo.
Same here.
Yeah, so I can't sell, even if I'm not making it. Like, I have goats at home, so I have raw milk. But even if I'm using store-bought milk, I still can't sell my cheeses.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of cheese, and I give a lot of cheese away to friends, and we visit a lot. Especially, I mean, COVID was tough, but I would just drop off parcels of cheese, and we'd
On
have like a
doorsteps?
Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
You know, they'd have their charcuterie at home. I'd drive home, and we'd have a Zoom and have a cheese board together apart,
Nice.
kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it just seemed like a natural progression for me anyway. And because I'd helped Chera build the business, she didn't want to sell it to anybody else.
Right.
I'd happened to come into some money. I'd had an inheritance from my dad's estate. He passed 8 years ago, but my sister was laid up with a bad back, and she's a lawyer. She hates to be doing nothing. So she was rooting around in the estate, and she found extra money that we were owed. So I had a little, you know, it was kind of like my dad was helping out.
Nice. That's lovely.
So it feels like the nod, you know. And then
Go
a
and
friend
do
of mine
it.
said
Yeah.
these things happen when it's the right time. And it was the right time for Chera. It was the right time for me. It seems to have been the right time for Prince George, because this town is going crazy for cheese.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, my classes are selling out.
So you teach as well?
I'm
Right.
teaching in person. Yeah, I'm working on an online course. I mean, everybody's got an online course now, but
Haven't they?
yeah. But I'm working on that, and I'm teaching in person. We've got a railway and forestry museum here, so there's a whole bunch of old buildings, and I mean old by Canadian standards. These are like 70 or 80-year-old buildings. Yeah. And they renovated one of the buildings, so it's a perfect teaching space. I can easily fit 10 people in there, even with COVID protocols, which we don't luckily have at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's a great interaction with the students. So I have a messenger group that I set up for each of the classes, so that we can all back and forth about,
yes.
my cheese is doing this. You know, should it be doing this? And then I can help them if they don't want to ask publicly on the page, if they feel nervous or if they're shy or whatever. Then they can ask privately on that little group, and we all kind of learn together. So, so far, 100% of my students have gone on to make more cheese, which is fabulous.
Yes,
because
indeed.
That's my goal.
Yeah. And it's a good business model too.
For sure.
Yeah.
I can sell them rennet.
That's right. You can sell them rennet and the cultures and the baskets and all that sort of good news. Yeah, indeed. I think that was one of the spin-offs of this YouTube channel as well. Same thing, you know, because people, when I was teaching workshops, we stopped now because of, you know, Kim's illness and COVID kind of compounded it. So we stopped teaching faces to face. But at the end of each cheese course, people would go to me, where do I buy the stuff? So that was one of the reasons we started selling, you know, kits and stuff like that. But I buy all my stuff wholesale. I don't package any kits per se. I buy the kits already made and then sell them on that way. So happy to support
I like
all
to
the
play
other.
With it a bit.
Yeah, I was happy to support the other companies in Australia that were doing that sort of stuff. Plus, I don't have the time for that, you know.
Yeah,
really,
it can be time consuming for sure.
Yeah, because I remember seeing a photo on Facebook that you put up saying you sold 100 kits, and I went, my God, putting together 100 kits, my goodness.
It was 176 in the end.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know. I got really, really lucky. Somebody on Instagram who used to be on Learn to Make Cheese, she's got this huge homesteading page, huge following, like 60,000 followings.
Yeah.
So Kate at Venison for Dinner, she has her own YouTube as well. She does all the homesteading stuff.
Somebody mentioned her before. I think it was Jennifer.
Kate
in the earlier. Yeah.
Kate's really, really nice. And she boosted this kit for me. We got together and we chatted about what should be in the kit, what she would like if she was, you know, making cheese, because she makes cheese, she has dairy animals. And she boosted it for me, and I sold 176 of them in a couple of weeks, and I had to put it on back order. And I mean, I like to turn out an order the next day.
Yeah,
and I've got people waiting 2 weeks because I've got to wait for stuff to come in from Quebec, which is the opposite side of Canada.
Yeah.
So that was a little nerve-wracking. That didn't help the blood pressure, but it was a great problem to have because, you know, it gave me the boost as a new business. That gave me the financial boost that I could solidify my products coming in. And now I've got stock of everything. So when the next miracle viral kick comes around, I'll be ready.
They do happen. They happen quite often. So I find when one of the videos goes viral, then they happen all the time. All of a sudden, I'll get this flurry of orders from overseas, and
Yeah.
and sometimes within Australia as well. But most of our customer base is Australia. Is most of yours based in Canada, or do you get a lot of US orders? Or
It's pretty much 60% Canada, 40% the US, and about 2 or 3% everywhere else. So I've had a couple of orders in from Australia. I've had a couple from New Zealand. I got the Margerero. I didn't think to send you any pictures beforehand, so I've gone old school.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hang on. So
Yep.
This is the Margerero mold.
Yeah.
And people saw that and they just went mental for it. So I had to put a special shipping rate on my website. It costs more to ship than it does to buy the mold.
Yeah, that's a problem with international shipping.
There's nothing we can do about that.
No,
no.
But people
if people really want it.
Yeah, I find that when people buy a lot of the stuff, so like I had an order the other day. I know we're talking more small business and cheese, but it's interesting, I think. Somebody bought a whole bunch of stuff and they paid like $140 for shipping, right? And I managed to get it into, because the calculators online are really ordinary. They don't work it properly, right? They can't figure out that you can put things inside of other things. And anyway, so I got the shipping down and I gave him $40 back. So, that's the sort of thing I like to do, because I don't want all that. I don't pay. The shipping is just for shipping. It's not
cost.
Profit.
Yeah.
So I'll give the money back. So, no, it's a good thing. Right. So, how many cheese? I bet you don't get much time to make cheese for yourself now.
Well, my goats are in milk, so I have to make.
Oh, you have to, right? Yeah.
I've got milk coming in every day. So there was a crunch point. I went to England in March and April. I went on a book tour. Woo!
Yeah. Nice.
And I managed to make it coincide with my mother's 75th birthday, so I'd be in the UK for her birthday, which was a big party. Well, I say big party. It was a post-COVID big party. There were like 12 of us, but it was all of her family. All of her kids were there, her brother and some close friends and stuff. So I took my daughter with me as well. We flew to the UK. Zigzagged around the place. I think I did about it was 1,500 miles, so about 2,000 kilometers in the space of 12 days.
Goodness,
up and down England and Scotland and back again. So yeah, there was an awful lot of driving.
How many book signings did you do?
I had 7 different stops on the tour, and I did a couple of personal things as well, because I don't get back to the UK very often.
Yeah.
I've got a farm. I've got a kid with autism who I homeschool. Leaving for me is pretty difficult to manage.
I bet.
So yeah. But yeah, we zigzagged all over the place, and it was an awesome trip. It was a really good trip, but I couldn't take any cheese with me. They wouldn't let me bring dairy into the country.
Yeah.
And I was really frustrated, because my mum's not a big feta fan, and I'm thinking, well, what can I make her while I'm here that she can eat while I'm here? And yesterday's was born.
Oh, right. Yeah, I heard that. I have seen your video. Very interesting.
Yeah, obviously I'm not up to your standards in any way. And anytime anybody says, oh, have you got a video for this? I'm like, no, just use Gavin's.
Yeah.
Go with Gavin's. Because I don't have the technical wherewithal, clearly. And the video cards and that kind of stuff is all very rudimentary, but I come up with this cheese, and I've tried it several times and it worked several times. And I gave the recipe to a couple of other people, including someone who'd never made cheese before, and she managed to get a very passable cheese.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, maybe this actually works then. So I put it out on YouTube, and I think we're at 2,500 views, and it's only been a month or two.
Nice.
So there was a while there where it was getting a little tedious. Everybody's posting about it all the time. And I just think it's hilarious, because people are putting all kinds of things in it. It's it's a very mild table cheese. So, it's aged for 36 hours. It's not going to be cheddar.
So it's got a thermophilic in it as well, right?
Yeah.
So that really firms up the curd and makes it edible a lot sooner than, say, a mesophile, which takes a long time to develop as well.
Yeah, you tend to get a lot more bitterness with mesophilic before it's done aging. Whereas the
Yeah.
thermophilic, you can bang in straight away. So
Because the higher set temperature. Yeah.
yeah, the addition of the lipase, I think, really kicks it in. I have tried it without, and it was just not there.
Bit bland.
Yeah, and I made it with goat milk, which has lipase in it anyway, and just goat milk and the thermophilic, and it was perfect. It was really, really good.
Nice. So do you recommend using goat's milk with that recipe, or can cow
Not everyone's
with the
got a goat.
lipase? True.
I wrote the recipe for cow milk because
Right.
mostly I work with cow milk year round. When my goats are in milk, obviously I have milk. So
Yeah.
I use goat milk. But yeah, most people, especially people in Canada, most people don't have access to their own raw milk, goat milk or cow.
Yeah,
So we're all using
same here. It's
store-bought.
banned. It's banned. You
Yeah.
can't buy it unless you're a commercial cheesemaker that's gone through all the hoops to manufacture raw milk cheese. And there aren't very many. I think there's about between 5 and 7, because it just costs so much to go through all these hoops to do it. So that's a shame. Would you mind if I used your yesterday's recipe and made a video on it? Or
I would love it. Of course, I
Yeah?
would love it. That's kudos. That is. Come on.
Indeed, yes. Obviously, with links to the Facebook page and with due credit to Cheese Needs and all that. So
That
yeah,
would be
all right,
perfect.
all right,
Yeah,
lovely.
thank you so much, Gavin.
I had to ask.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
wasn't
as
just
I
going to
said-
go and make it.
It's a brand new YouTube channel. I've only been in business for 4 months.
Yeah,
Clearly I have some things to learn about the social media aspect of owning a business in the 2020s. I have owned a business before, but that was in the late 1990s. We didn't have the internet so much. We certainly didn't have social media.
yeah.
And you couldn't just put videos onto YouTube. There was no way to get content out there. So this is a learning curve for me. But I'd be flattered if you would try it.
If you want any tips, we can have a private video session, and do that free of charge.
Oh, I'm going to hit you up for that for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. We can organise something after this chat, because I'm sure people are here to listen about cheese and not social media. But I could talk about it all day. In fact, I recently, I'm going to talk about it now. I recently did on Thursday, this Thursday just gone, I was asked to present at the Rotary Club of Ballarat on
Nice.
as YouTube as a business enabler. So, yeah, I gave a 20-minute talk there. Unfortunately, I didn't video it. I should have. Nobody would have minded. It would have been great content for our personal YouTube channels or little green workshops. But it was a great little present. I could probably do a voiceover thing, and I'll do that. But yeah, so it had lots of tips and Rotary clubs tend to have an older demographic. There aren't too many younger Rotarians these days. Well, I didn't see any anyway. So they were open-jawed, flabbergasted that I was making money and earning out of using YouTube. And they were surprised by the different revenue streams that there were. So not only the ad revenue, but the e-commerce revenue from the store, the merch revenue. They couldn't believe that I was making that much on merch. And, the courses, the online courses and all that sort of stuff. So once you package it all together, you can make a living like I do. This is my job. I don't work. I used to work in the city and gave that up as a bad joke. So we managed to pay our mortgage every month and have some money to spare. So it's good.
That would be cool. At the moment, the business is making me the money. The teaching is making me the money. The social media side, I'm still stumbling in the dark. But yeah, for sure, I'll hit you up later on and we'll have a chat about that.
Yeah, indeed. No problems at all, Tracey. Happy to help, mate.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. So moving right along. So yesterday's cheese is your creation. You invented it.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any others that you have invented yourself?
Yes. In the last cheese in my book, actually, is Winchester Rock, which again was kind of accidental. I named it after my hometown in the UK. And I call it Winchester Rock because it's absolutely solid. You can't get a knife through it.
Rather hard cheese.
Yeah, it's very hard, but it's really, really strong flavour because you age it for a year. So it started out being a Gouda that went wrong. I was halfway through the Gouda process, and I always say to people, keep good notes, keep good notes, keep good notes. This is my mantra. If anybody ever asks me for a signed copy of my book, that's what I write in the front, keep good notes.
Nice.
Because if you make something and 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, a year later, you try it and it's fabulous, you want to know what you did. And I don't remember what I was doing this morning. So,
ditto. I can't remember the first interview.
Yeah, write it down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, good notes and experimentation. I think once you've been making cheese for a while, you know yourself if it's going right or if it's not going right. You can tell.
Yeah.
And if something, the other thing I always say, never give up, never surrender. Gotta love Galaxy Quest for that one.
Yes, I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
You've got cheese. It's going all pear-shaped. It's all gone wrong. What do I do? What do I do? Well, don't throw it away.
Yeah, keep
going. Because even if you have to drain it through, like I've had brie that I've had to drain through a butter muslin. I couldn't put it near a basket because it would just go.
Yeah.
You still end up with cheese. If it's not what you intended, okay, but you still end up with cheese, and it might be awesome.
Most of the time it's edible too, even the disasters. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Awesome cheese. Speaking of your book, I know you've dropped the hint a few times. I should have asked the question. So you have written a cheese making book. What is it called?
And it's called Cheese Please.
Cheese Please.
Yeah.
And it's in hardback?
Hardback and paperback now. Yeah.
Okay. And where is it available?
You can get it at Cheese Needs, or you can get it on Amazon. If you've got Amazon Prime, then it's probably cheaper to get it from Amazon because you get free shipping. If you want me to sign it, you got to buy it from me.
Of course.
Or you have to come and meet me somewhere.
So
I'll sign anything.
Amazon takes a decent cut, though, don't they? Unfortunately, I find that with my e-commerce books that if you price it over $9.99, they take 70%, which is massive.
They do, but I mean,
you got to go with volume,
the only way
I
that I can get it out there. It's the only way I could afford to get it printed and get it into print and get it done. So it's the lesser of two evils. I could have, I could try printing and binding it myself, but with everything else that's going on, I wanted to just leave it to someone that knows what they're doing.
True. And they're what's it called? Create Space. It used to be Create Space.
Kindle Direct now.
Yeah, their process is pretty good for making the publication, and it looks good with a nice cover and the binding's pretty good. I'm found on the hardbook back. I did one once. I did a run of about 10 or something. This was not for the cheese book. This was for one of the other books that I wrote. People snapped them up, but like I said, there was no money in it, unfortunately, because it was a little bit too expensive. But look, kudos to you. And you've ordered them in bulk as well for your own store. So,
yeah, I ordered them in bulk. And the kit that just sold 176, every single one of those had a book in it. So I've just gone over the 1,000 mark.
Well done. Well done, you. Yeah. It's hard to sell a self-published book, honestly, even speaking from experience. It takes a while to get the word out there unless you've got a medium where you can sell it, we both have. So, yeah, well done, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you writing that book.
Yes, I'm proud of me finishing that book because, as you know, you get all these ideas and they're like, oh, this recipe, and then you have to try and edit it. I'm a little too opinionated to edit my own work. So I have to say thank you to my friend Christine, who edited it for me. And I'm using her Wi-Fi right now because my Wi-Fi is very rural. So I'm in my travel trailer in her driveway.
Oh, right.
So I can talk to you without my Wi-Fi cutting out.
Nice. Yes, thank you. So, what was I going to say? It was a follow-up from that. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, so, I also couldn't edit my I edited the first version of Keep Calm and Make Cheese. I actually had it proofread, though, by Kim's mum, who was a professional proofreader, which was quite good.
Nice.
But she's since passed away, and I couldn't get the second book proofread, unfortunately. So I asked one of my daughter's friends, who's a high school teacher, and she did the first run edit proofread for me, which was good. So yeah, it's always good to get somebody or hire somebody to do that part of the work, because as a writer, when you do write the book, it's difficult to find the mistakes. Even when you read it aloud, myself, that's what I do to figure out whether I made a mistake. And there was hundreds of them, and it was unworthy to publish. It would have been a nightmare. But
so for me, the thing I found was I was making assumptions. I was assuming that people knew what clean break was. I was assuming that people knew some of the terms that I was using. And I actually have my daughter read it. She's in college right now to be a proofreader editor.
Yeah.
So she's like my little, she's my little grammar police. She goes around and checks that I've got the right commas, and because I've been interneting for the last 20 years. I've got a degree in psychology, and I've studied English to college level. But I've completely forgotten what a semicolon is for.
Nice.
So so she's come along with her big red pen and written "See me" at the bottom. So yeah, I made her go on the computer and edit all of the changes that she'd made, because I'm not going to sit there and scroll through all that. So she did that for me. That was really helpful.
That's lovely. That's lovely. A great team, obviously.
Yes, yeah. Well, she's 20 now, and she's just awesome.
Yeah. Are you?
All my kids are great.
Yes, and I remember what you said just before is, where do you stop? When do you stop putting recipes into the book? And I found it so. The second book took me like 4 years to write. The first one had like 28 recipes in it. The second one had like 75. I just couldn't stop. So because every time I created a video, I'd written down the recipe, and then I keep making it. Halfway through the book, I'm making a cheese, two new cheeses a month. And where do you stop? So that's why the book kind of took so long as well. Plus, I was procrastinating the heck out of it. Because I had so many, you got a business to run, you got videos to put up, because I like teaching people new things, and, the book kind of took second fiddle. So, yeah.
And also the first one was really successful. Everybody points to it as a really accessible, if you want to learn, you click on the link, you buy the book, and it's there on your, your reading device, whatever you use, straight away. With mine, you have to wait for shipping. The main reason behind that is kind of twofold. Firstly, I'm worried it's going to get nicked and posted online.
Secondly, I wouldn't worry about that, because mine has.
Yes, I saw yours was. Yeah,
many times, and I don't care, because the people who care will go and buy a copy. The people that steal one, they'll never read it, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So. Yeah, so
I think the first book was such a big success that then trying to follow it with something that may be, is it going to be as good? Are you going to make as many, as you say, you cram in as many recipes as you can, so that you can guarantee it's better than the original.
Yeah.
But you cover so much groundwork in the first book.
I did, yeah.
The illustration of Little Miss Muffet on her tuffet, I've got that stuck to my fridge. That makes me laugh all the time.
Yes, one of Kim's favourite drawings.
It's an old English thing, yeah.
Yeah, because at the time she was actually doing a diploma of children's cartoons out of the London Art College. Yeah, London Art College. She got her diploma. So she was doing all those cartoon type things all the time. So when I approached her to put them into the book, she said she jumped at the chance. She loved it. So, I've actually got. Here we go. I'm doing a striptease now.
People talk, Gavin.
I know. There we go. That's straight out of the book. That's me, apparently, with a glass of wine and some cheese. So there you go. That's actually in the first book that Kim did. Now, she didn't do any in the second one because she was sick. So
how's she doing?
Yeah, really good, really good. So yeah, she's fully recovered from the cancer's dormant, gone, or whatever. I don't think cancer ever goes, but it goes dormant.
Awesome.
But yeah, the treatment, all the chemo and all the radiotherapy and all that has worked well. So she's what, 2.5 years free at the moment, which is good.
That's good.
All of the tests that she's had recently, and she's listening to this probably as well. She's inside
Hi.
with the doggos. Yeah, she's very, very positive lady. She's my Xena warrior princess. She is remarkable. So
I
love
think
her.
if she's English, she ought to be Boudica, really. But
Yeah,
okay, we'll give her
right.
Xena.
Yeah, so was from New Zealand, wasn't she? Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
Boudica,
Xena's New
I
Zealand.
suppose.
Yeah, I think.
She was pretty cool. Yeah, those Romans, they had the rough end of the stick after they sorted her out, I tell you.
Indeed, indeed.
All righty.
That escalated quickly.
It did, didn't it? Right, where do you make your cheese? In your kitchen, or you got a special place?
I've just had my kitchen remodeled. It was 5 months nightmare. Living with an autistic kid who hates change, and I just ripped out the kitchen, and it takes so long. We literally went back to studs. We had the bare roof. It was the middle of winter, which in Canada, it's a little spicy.
A little bit cool, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had snow gear on in the house because it was just absolutely freezing, and they don't believe in rooms in Canada. It's all open plan.
Oh, goodness.
I'm English. We have rooms, we have doors. You know, you can shut the kitchen door to keep the dog out when you're cooking, because I have Labradors. They can reach the surface. I know your guys can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have dog hair in every single cheese if I didn't find a way to keep my dogs out of the kitchen. So we remodeled the entire kitchen. I absolutely adore it. It's gorgeous. I'm still struggling to keep it clean because I'm a terrible housekeeper. But yeah, my most recent favorite place, and I've got another one of my aid here.
Yeah.
So this is a historical building.
Right.
It's a place called Hubble Homestead. It's just up the road from me here. And they dressed as Puritans. And I was making cheese in a field on a gas burner.
Yeah.
And we had a visit from a bear.
A bear?
So, yeah, it doesn't get much more Canadian than that. The lady's just walking around, and I'm like, bear. And because we get them in the yard, I live rural. I've got a forest. I've got a farm. You know, we do see bears. We see moose.
Yeah.
It's the main reason, actually, that we didn't move to Australia when we emigrated. We were looking at it. And the things that are going to kill you in Australia, really small.
Well, I'm not dead yet.
Yeah, the spiders and the snakes are really small.
You English are so funny when it comes to creepy crawlies here. You know, every night when we go to bed, Kim pulls back all of the covers to check for redback spiders every night. And I'm already in bed. I would have been bitten by now, right?
The one time she doesn't check, it's going to be there. That's time.
Right. She'll put on her boots one day and it'll be in the boot. She probably, I think she checks those too, but yeah. And there's no snake in our backyard. Yeah. I think it's an English thing. Must have been watching too much Neighbours.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Definitely too much Neighbours and Home and Away in my life when I was young. My mum used to watch the country practice and flying. So I've had it from like birth, you know, that it's very dangerous in Australia.
It's not.
No. I'd love to visit one day.
Unless you live in the bush, out in the outback. But then they're used to it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But cool.
Yeah.
So we're back to a bear and a fest.
So she came out with an air raid siren.
Oh, and scared the bear away.
Along with this air raid siren going. I'm like, oh my goodness me. Luckily, I did have some cheese with me. I always take samples when I do an outdoor event because I'm not allowed to take samples to an indoor event here because it's classed as a restaurant.
Right. Okay. Go figure.
Oh, Canada. And so I had a bunch of cheese with me. So I was already formulating in my plan, you know, there's a table in between me and the bear, and I can throw the cheese and then leg it.
Nice. That would work. Did it work?
The bear didn't come that close, luckily.
Right.
They managed to persuade it to remove itself from the situation. But, I mean, the bears here, as soon as they know you're there, they'll wander off anyway. It's very rare that they get aggressive. But as I said, you can see them coming. The bears and the moose are nice and big here, so you don't have anything really that small to worry about.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So did you have to dress up in all the garb as well for the thing? Or
I didn't have to, but everybody else that's there is dressed. And I mean, it's basically just a really long skirt and a shirt that you can button up to your t-shirt. Well, I always wear a high t-shirt anyway, because I'm an English woman. I don't go around showing cleavage. It's not the done thing. I just, you can take the girl out of England.
Yeah.
So, and I'm wearing a high neck shirt and a very long skirt. And actually that really served me well, because it's mosquito season here. And they are the one thing that is small that does attack you here. And they drive me insane because I'm different. They like me, and they just, every time I go to a campfire, I'm sitting there like the whole time, and everyone else is like, there aren't any mosquitoes. I'm like, you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem to attract to her, and they don't bite me. Well, if they do, I don't even notice them, and I don't get any welts like she does. Goodness me.
Yeah, me
Must
too.
Be special mozzies, delicate flowers.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Very cool. Charlie actually says, Gavin, we had a brown snake and tiger snake in the backyard. He only lives up the road about 5 kilometres from me. So
hi, Charlie.
Maybe there is some snakes around here that I just haven't seen yet. So yeah, okay, I'll watch out for those. But he backs onto the bush. He's right. All righty. So let's move on. So how much time we got? 20 minutes. We got 20 minutes. So what is your favourite? No, hang on. We'll do one. There's another one. What are some of the challenges you found when you've been making your cheese?
Butakesi. Oh, Butakesi did my head in.
What, you did trouble? Or?
It would not work. I could not get that cheese to work. I tried your recipe. I tried New England cheese making recipe. I'm following it to the letter. I even threw out my thermometer and got another one in case that was the issue. I could not get Butakesi to work. The first probably 4 times I tried it.
Yeah.
I actually could, it just wouldn't work, and I don't give up. So the 5th time I tried it, I didn't do anything different, and it worked like a charm. So I named that one, I kicked its Butakesi, because I keep good notes, obviously. And then I labeled that one, threw it in the back of my cheese fridge, and I scowled at it for weeks and weeks.
So did it taste all right?
When it was ready, because I was like, if you're bad, I'm just going to be furious. And then eventually I opened it and it was lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think it was a milk issue, or
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I go a bit maverick with the recipes, but I was really, really being careful. And I thought sometimes the milk here changes consistency quite drastically, because the cows, there's something to do with silage. They feed them over winter, and then they change to different food in the spring. And there's always a sort of a 2 or 3 week area where if I buy regular milk in the grocery store, it's not worth anything for making cheese with. It just won't work. So I tend to freshen my goats around this time of year so that I've got raw milk at home.
Yeah.
And then I use that to bridge the gap.
So speaking of the goat's milk that you've got at home, when you make a recipe that specifies cow's milk, how do you adjust the recipe for goat? Is there anything you change as far as the rennet strength or the culture, because it's raw milk and it's already got some lactic bacteria in it? So how do you change that up to make it work for you?
So most of my recipes are based at the suburban housewife or house husband, making cheese at home without goats, without cows.
Right.
I always write my recipes for store-bought cow milk. So if people are using raw milk, I always say to them, you need to half the culture and you need to use 1/3 less rennet. And that generally seems to be the combination that does work.
And that works for you as well when you're making your own cheese, yeah.
Yeah, I tend to LT I pasteurize low temp long time.
Yeah.
Just because I've seen my milking area. It's mud season here, and even though I wash the teats and drip the teats and strip everything out, I'm still not confident that it's going to be colon free. So my choices are either I add a protective culture to every single batch of cheese, which is fine. I can do that. Or I low temp pasteurize. At the moment, I'm just milking my Nigerian dwarf and my Alpine, but they've both still got kids on. So I'm getting about a litre a day,
Right.
which is an awful lot of work for a litre of milk, frankly.
Yeah.
So I'm pasteurizing that, and then it can stay in the fridge for 2 or 3 days. But if it was raw milk,
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave it in the fridge for 2 or 3 days and then use it for cheese making.
Yeah.
Just because even at those lower temperatures, the bacteria are still growing.
Yeah, and you get more acidic cheese too.
Yeah, and then if you leave it in there for like a week, you can end up getting ropey milk, which is death to cheese. So it'll make you really not well. So I try and err on the side of caution. So I pasteurize when I'm getting a small amount. When I'm getting 3-4 litres a day, I don't tend to pasteurize. I'll just put it in the fridge really fast.
And
get
make
it
the
cold.
cheese straight away. Yeah.
Make the cheese the next day when I've got another 2 or 3 litres and do like a 6-litre batch.
Yeah. That's good. Good advice for the homesteader.
Yes.
Because a lot of, like you said, if the kid gets, half the milk and you've only got a small amount, the only way you can get around it really is low temperature pasteurizing, and then you can combine batches as well.
I've also frozen it. So I have some really deep, really shallow, wide plastic tubs. With a lid. So if you can get the milk cold really fast, you can freeze it, and then you can even freeze it in layers. So I've got today's milk at the bottom, and then tomorrow's milk goes on top of that, and the cold of the underneath helps to cool the fresh milk I've just put on it, and that freezes it faster.
So freezing raw or freezing it
freezing raw?
Right.
Yeah, freezing raw. Because goat milk does really well if you freeze it. You can thaw it in the fridge, and you can make cheese with it, no problem. Not the same cow's milk. You do have some issues with cow's milk.
Fat breaks up. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to happen with goat's milk because it's naturally homogenized. So that seems to be the reason that you can get away with freezing it and then thawing it and then using it for cheese.
Yeah, because fat globules are a lot smaller in goat's milk than they are in cow's milk. So
yeah,
I didn't know that. That's really good. Really good information. Thanks for that. So yeah, I could see that would be a big challenge as far as having your own animals and having to get enough milk. I'll start again. How long before you wean the kid off the nanny, and then you get the whole lot? How long do you?
They're about there.
Wait.
The babies are eating food now. The mums are getting more milk when I do the milking. The babies are 9 and 10 weeks now. So I've still got 1 girl and 3 boys left to move on because they're not staying for my breeding program. I kept 2 of my Alpine Nubian babies from last year. I lost my favorite goat this year. My Danny died, unfortunately. So I've kept her baby. I've kept her daughter. Because she's the spitting image of her mum, and she's got a blob on her back and it looks just like a heart. And I've got to keep Danny's little baby. So I'm ending up with several goats is the problem. My husband won't let me have a cow, right? Because we got the space, but he's like, you've got too much work to do already. And I'm like, okay, I've got this many goats, I get this much milk. If I had 1 cow, I get this much milk.
Yeah. But then you'd be making more and more cheese, though, too.
Yes, and that does crowd out the beer in the fridge.
I can imagine.
We have several fridges, as I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
We have a couple. So, I need to do a clear out. Actually, I've got too much cheese at the moment. So we're coming up to the summer season. I will be visiting people and bringing cheese.
Nice. So what out of... Right, how do I'm getting tired, but... and I got 2 more interviews to go, yeah? So, right. So the question is, what's your favourite cheese to make as far as the process goes? Not to eat, but yeah.
Make, I really like to make a camembert. I really enjoy it.
It's a good process, isn't it?
It is. It's a nice, relaxed one. I don't make a lot of brie because the cream here has all got carrageenan gum in it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So unless you can get raw milk, which you can't, or unless you can unhomogenize the goat milk, which you can, but it's a really fatty process, and it's a very thin amount of cream that you would get.
Yeah, yeah.
I tend not to use cream in my recipes just because it's difficult to find, unfiddled with cream here.
Yeah.
So you can use UHT cream, that's fine. We have a product here called Half and Half, so it's 10% fat. So it's half cream, half milk, and they don't put anything else in it. So if I'm using cream in a recipe, then I will take out, I have to do the math, and the Pearson square that you shared recently, super helpful. Thank you for that.
No problem.
It gives me the opportunity to then work out how much milk do I need versus how much cream do I need, that I can actually make a brie successfully. Because if you try and use anything with carrageenan or any of the other gums or binders in there, then your curd just shatters and you can't make the thing. And it's just miserable. And I really enjoy making a nice easy camembert. I love the way that they shrink. You fill the mold up and it's mounded over the top, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah, that's right.
This tiny little
that much. Yeah. Yeah. We had the same. So we had the same trouble with cream here, except it's not gums. They put in gelatin to thicken it, and gelatin and milk don't like each other in cheese making either. So there's only like 2 brands in the whole of Australia that you can get pure cream that's actually pourable and not already pre-whipped thick dollop stuff. So it's so hard to find. But that was one of the reasons why I actually did that Pearson Square video, because it's so difficult to find and so difficult to figure out otherwise. So
I'm not a great mathematician. I really struggle with that.
Me neither. So. I think year 10 was about as good as I did with maths.
They started putting letters into the math, and that was when I lost it.
Yeah, it got a bit confusing. Some people love maths. I'm not a fan. Excel helps me. That works for me. Yeah, it's good. So if camembert is your favourite cheese to make, what's your favourite cheese to eat?
I'm going to circle back to your answer on that one, all of them.
All of the cheeses. I love the cut of your jib.
Yeah, I stole an idea from Tennessee Cheese Guy on Learn to Make Cheese, Troy Susie McMahon. And he takes a camembert or a brie, cuts it horizontally, and then puts cream cheese in the middle with additives. I like to do it with a chive because the kick really, it balances with the creaminess, but you can do peppers as well. And I'd never actually thought of taking a cheese that I've made and then further processing it. It never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So I would suggest you try that one, because if you cut it and then you put the cream cheese in, smooth it all around so it looks pretty, and then wrap it back up, pop it back in the fridge for like 3 or 4 days, and it infuses those flavors throughout the whole of the cheese, and it's amazing.
That sounds very interesting. I haven't seen it. I'll have to go and dig into the archives and have a look. But yeah, that sounds very interesting. So the white mold doesn't grow over the cream cheese or anything like that?
Well, no, because the white mold's all around the outside, and you're cutting through it as if it were a cake. You're lifting it off.
Right, so like a sponge cake.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I didn't bring a picture of that one. Sorry.
Doesn't matter. No, that sounds really interesting. So yeah, very cool. So so you can put all sorts of different flavors with that and the like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Now we've only got 7 minutes left, so let's wrap up. I could talk for hours, of course, and I think you could too.
Oh yes.
So finally, what are your words of encouragement for newbie cheesemakers, and what are some of your favourite resources on the web? Self-promotion, you can do that too.
Okay, so I refer everybody to Gavin Webber.
Stop it.
That guy everywhere.
That bloke says g'day all the time.
I send people to you purely because you've got the videos for everything. There are other people now making videos. We've got Kim Mack, we've got Lisa Peterson. There are people that are coming up that are doing what you've been doing for years. And I prefer to send people to the source. So
Thank you.
I always will send people to your channel, even if I actually put videos on my channel. I'm only intending to use original content at this point. So if I invent something else, I'll add that on there. But mostly it's going to be, go check out Gavin.
Thank you.
Words of encouragement, I would always say, never give up, never surrender. Keep good notes and stick to your recipe. If you're learning, stick to the recipe. because you can mess around with it later on when you understand the curd and the acidity and how it all works. But if you don't know how it all works, you can go off on a limb somewhere and you can waste a batch of cheese. And I hate waste. I mean, I have chickens, so they eat any of my mistakes anyway. But just keep trying. If it's failing, just keep trying, because you'll end up with something.
Yeah, that reminds me of what Ruth said at the end of her interview, that she had a 60% failure rate for what sounded like a couple of years, and she just kept going and going and going, and then it just clicked. And and she sought out better milk and just refined her processes and sanitized maybe a little bit better, and it just all clicked, and it was just lovely. It was, so exactly right. Just keep trying.
I mean, very few cheeses are inedible. So
that's right. You can eat it. It'll just be different.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, a lot of cheeses were invented that way. In England, there's a different cheese for every town.
Just about.
Literally. So I think you've made videos on most of them. But
I try my best. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a behind-the-scenes tour at Cheddar, and that was absolutely awesome. They let me see the vats. I was allowed in the aging room, and they let me core cheddar that was 23 kilos, and it had been stored in their cave at Cheddar Gorge, in an actual cave.
Yeah.
Which is 12.3 degrees all year round. And she handed me the trier, and I was allowed to core it, and I'm like, oh.
Tell you what, like a cheese Gavin, but better. Yeah,
it was good. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah, I've been to Cheddar Gorge, and I did go to the cheese factory, but there was no behind the scenes type thing. It was like, here's the shop, eat the cheese. Here, this is some of the stuff we do, and we couldn't even go to the caves to look.
They've changed all of that now.
Yeah.
If you email them, they know who you are, because I was talking to them about you.
Oh, okay.
They are aware of you. And I said, I gave her a copy of my book. Again, shameless self-promotion. And I said, have a look at the cheddar recipe. Am I close? And she said, I'm not going to confirm or deny, but I will tell you this. We only use chymosin rennet.
Right.
So all cheddar that you get from the Cheddar Cheese Company, which is the only cheddar cheese company in cheddar now, all of their cheese is vegetarian now.
Yeah.
So, and I said to her, you pick chymosin because obviously microbial, you end up with bitterness if you're going to age it for any length of time. And she's like, yep, you've clearly read a book or two as well.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. Yeah. So I exclusively use chymosin myself. So.
Me too.
Yeah. And the microbial, or is it the fermented one? I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're both the same as far as I'm concerned, as far as the final taste. So, yeah, well done. Thank you, Tracey, for having a chat with me today. It's been lovely, even talking about other things other than cheese making, but it's all cheese related. So that's all good as far as I'm concerned. So, like I said, take me up on that offer of the having a chat about social media.
For sure.
And how to make things better and whatever. But we can talk for a couple of hours on that. But yeah, so when you get a chance, just drop me an email and we'll sort something out. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No drama. Thanks for coming on board and staying up. I don't know what's the time there now. Must be pretty late.
Coming up on 10 p.m. So I'll be ready for a beer when I get home.
Nice. I've got a bottle of champagne in the fridge for when I finish too. So
yeah, I think you've earned that.
Thank you very much. So those in the chat, say thanks to Tracey for coming along.
Thank you, everybody.
It's been wonderful. Thank you, mate. See you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was a wonderful interview. I really enjoyed having a chat to Tracey. And it was a good little tangent we went on about running a cheese supply store. I think that was relevant as well because I don't get to talk to many people about that sort of stuff. So Tracey was a kindred spirit as far as owning that sort of e-commerce store. But thank you so much, Tracey, for staying up late and having a chat to us today. Well, thanks for listening, Curd Nerds. You can find my cheese making video tutorials Over on YouTube, just search for either Gavin Weber or cheeseman.tv. You can get cheese making kits, supplies and equipment over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Now if you'd like a personalised message from me, I am available on Cameo to book. Just go to cameo.com/cheesemantv, all one word. Stay tuned for the next exciting episode of the Little Green Cheese Podcast. During this podcast, you heard royalty-free music by Kevin MacLeod. I played Malt Shop Bop and Call to the Dairy Cows. See you later, curd nerds.